Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie, and it's 7 a.m. here in Spain. I've just got up about half an hour ago, and we've had this fantastic news, didn't we, in the middle of the night, that Charlotte has been found. Charlotte Sena, who I was looking at yesterday, this case of her disappearing from a campsite, it's like a park, isn't it? Like a campsite thing where she'd gone with her family for the weekend. They went last Friday. On Saturday evening, she disappeared without a trace, just leaving her bike behind after wanting to go to do one loop off the campsite on her own, like a big girl, as she said. And, there was a lot of, criticism aimed at the police that they didn't release the Amber Alert for her disappearance until the following morning. I'm sorry if I sound sort of half asleep, but I actually am. I'm only on my first coffee. After my second coffee, I tend to come round. They didn't release the Amber Alert till 9:30ish the next morning, which meant that all Saturday night, they were searching the park. But anyway, that doesn't matter now, really. Yeah, that's time to talk about that later. Whether they should have done it, whether there should be more stricter rules about when you release an Amber Alert. That's a question maybe for another day. For today, the good news is that the prayers worked. She has been found. She is safe and well. We don't know the very full details, but we know a lot of details. There's a suspect in custody. We know his name. We know his age. We know where he lives, and that's what we're going to look at today. But what we're going to look at first of all is the press conference that the governor gave in the I said the early hours of the morning, in the early hours of the morning for me, but obviously in the afternoon in the USA, in New York State. We're going to look at that. That's what we're going to look at first. So this is the press conference, and credit to this guy whose name of his channel I just can't even say. Iked Mel is his channel. We looked at some of the things he was, he showed some very interesting phone calls with local residents that we looked at in the video last night. And this press conference was hard to find. I found it. Maybe it's just, it won't be later on, but at the moment, it did seem hard to find. But anyway, here it is, and we're going to let's
providing an update on the rescue of Charlotte at New York State Police Troop G headquarters. Okay, so 10:30 p.m. So that's Eastern. Yeah, you guys haven't heard about this? This guy, or some other guy had a ice cream truck with a history. It's called Dingaling. But the named person is Craig Ross Jr. So I don't know if it's the son of this guy or what's going on. Somebody got to call in and fill me in. I'm trying to figure this all out for myself. Once everybody, welcome. If you guys hit the like button, also make sure you check out the backup channel. And also let me know if you can hear me clearly. And I don't have any notifications on the channel. So please like, subscribe, share, subscribe to the backup channel. I'm glad that this girl's alive and they stay in good health. That's freaking amazing. So that we just hear so many horrible stories. So for a change, she's alive. Somebody's alive.
It does feel a bit like a miracle because it is rare. I was trying to be, as you know, if you watch the video, I had mentioned about Shannon Matthews, and I know that was her mother that sort of almost aided and abetted that plot. But sometimes children are found. Not only Shannon Matthews, but other children are found in time. So It is, but it is a bit of a miracle, because normally within, a couple of hours of a child being abducted, they are probably have been disposed with in one way or another. So although we were trying to be upbeat, I think that was the general thing that we're expecting. So it is brilliant. So he sounds confused. So I think the guy in custody is called Craig Ross. And this is what we're gonna look at some other things after this, but to maybe get some clarification. Clarification will come out today. I expect as the day goes on. It is nighttime there now. Let's have a look.
That's good. Let's see. I need a thumbnail. Somebody, Mo, if you can help me with a thumbnail when you have a chance, I'd love that, please.
All right,
Chris Cuomo on the case. I have another backup live feed. Okay, we have multiple backup live feeds, so we're just waiting on the governor.
Yeah, she takes quite a long time. I was watching another channel she takes ages to arrive, but I think what I'm going to do is fast forward to when she actually gets there. Because, yeah, these poor guys were waiting for ages for the governor to arrive. There was a lot of toing and froing before she finally turned up. Now, let me just say that the governor herself has had, this is the governor of New York, she was the first female governor ever of New York. She received a bit of criticism because she, people saying, is she grandstanding? She was there on the scene very quickly. She made a speech. She was dressed more like a police person. She actually looked like a police person. You find that she's dressed in her business suit in this interview. But I thought it was a nice speech that she gave. It was different from a police speech. I thought she was a policewoman at the time that she gave it, that she made the speech, if that's what you call it, the appeal. But it did seem different from a police speech. And now, of course, it makes sense because she is a politician. So it was a politician's speech. Politicians do speak differently. But I personally thought it was very nice. It was very eloquent. And it really helped to make Charlotte seem like a person rather than just a name, because that's what's important when people get kidnapped, especially, and there's still a chance that they might be alive, is to talk, personalize them, make them seem like real people. So if the kidnapper's watching, they're not just thinking of them as an object, objectifying them. So anyway, but she received criticism for that, but I feel like she would have got criticism whatever she did. If she, it's hard to, there'll always be someone who thinks you're doing the right thing and someone who thinks you're doing the wrong thing. So let's see what she's got to see here. She took ages to arrive. Finally.
Good evening. This is a very good day. It's been a long 2 days, but tonight our prayers have been answered. We're overcome with relief and gratitude for this gift to all of us. And it is the people standing here with me that remind me why I'm so proud to be the governor of this state. Incredible men and women who were relentless in their pursuit of finding this little girl. Yesterday, I held Charlotte's parents in my arms. David and Trish, I went to the campsite. I saw the place that she had just been a joyful little girl the day before, riding her bike, because I was on the road she rode her bike on, saw where she left it. And her parents were just so overcome with sadness and grief. And as a parent, I thought my own heart was breaking. And I said to them, I promise you this, we will bring Charlotte home to you. And as each hour went on, hope faded because We all know the stories. The first 24 hours, there's hope. But when you hit 48 hours, hope starts to wane. But when Charlotte disappeared in Monroe State Park, it was every parent's worst nightmare. But I knew I would be able to have assembled the team of individuals who would not stop. And I want to thank at this moment the individuals gathered here tonight and all the men and women across this state that they represent. And the FBI brought in their specialized trained individuals all the way from Washington to help with this search. I want to thank Deputy Superintendent Richard Allen, Lieutenant Colonel James Barnes, Lieutenant Colonel Richard Mazzone, Major Dennis Shager, for their work. The New York State Park Police, Colonel Michael Dodona, the Office of Parks and Historic Preservation, Chief of Staff Randy Simons, Saratoga County Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant Jeffrey O'Connor, the Schenectady County Sheriff's Office, represented by the Schenectady Police Department, Police Department of Schenectady, Detective Sergeant Bradley Carlton, the Federal Bureau of Investigation Acting Agent in Charge, Alfred Watson, who I met yesterday on site, New York State Department of Corrections and Community Services, Acting Commissioner Daniel Marticello, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Forest Rangers, Basil Sagos. As I mentioned, when you hit that 48-hour moment, you realize it's going to be tough. And you start thinking the worst. But what happened was extraordinary. The case started to break at 4:20 a.m. this morning, when the family's home that was being guarded by state police, when the parents were still starting another day at the campsite where they'd last seen their daughter. 4:20 a.m., the car pulls up to a mailbox. Something is left. State police immediately go to the mailbox and identify what is a ransom note that had been left behind for Charlotte. State police worked diligently trying to find a match for a fingerprint. First one tried and wasn't successful. Second one was to identify any other prints in the New York State database that would be a match. The hit came at 2:30 in the afternoon. There had been...
Wow, so somebody delivered a ransom note. Are they saying that they watched somebody come up? Is she saying that they watched someone? They were staking out the house. So the parents were still at the campsite. So what she's saying is that the police were watching the parents' home and somebody came up and put in a ransom note and they just let them drive off? Well, I'm not really sure. Anyway, then they've got a fingerprint, so that's how they got caught. But I'm not really sure why they didn't just apprehend them as soon as they delivered the note.
A DWI in 1999 in the city of Saratoga. A fingerprint was found that matched what was found on the ransom note. So, a little more research work to identify the location and identifying the fact that there was a home they could visit. They found a double-wide house with a woman, the suspect's mother. The suspect lived in the camper behind.
Gosh. So they found a home and the suspect lived in a camper. But look at his face, the guy's face. What? It's like, I wonder, I feel for the mother. You know, I'm presuming she didn't know anything about it, and I'm feeling for her because that would be difficult.
They have what they call a dynamic entry, a tactical maneuver, and within the camper, they located the suspect.
A dynamic entry. Well, that means they broke the door down, I suppose.
After some resistance, The suspect was taken into custody, and immediately the little girl was found in a cupboard. She was rescued.
Oh, she was in a cupboard, bless her little socks, in the house. Oh my God, I hope and pray that he hadn't done anything to her. Please God, please God. But anyway, the important thing, it's very emotional to God. I don't know what those parents feel like. It's emotional for us. It's fantastic, of course it is, but she's gone through a very traumatic experience all the same. Oh, good God. Good. You just think, I mean, how did he ever think that he would get away with it?
She knew she was being rescued. She knew that she was in safe hands. Her parents were immediately notified. This occurred at 6:32 this evening. The suspect, 47-year-old male named Craig Nelson Ross Jr., is still being questioned.
So, 47-year-old male named, was it Craig Nelson Ross Jr.? He is the suspect.
At this moment, charges have not been brought, but they are fully expected. Her daughter was transported to local hospital, as is customary, and that's all the family wishes to reveal at this time. But they are united. She is in good hands. She appeared to be outwardly physically unharmed at the time, but we'll leave the rest of this information about little Charlotte to her family at a time they deem appropriate. Often these stories don't end up like this. Every second is key. There's a lot of pressure. Split decisions are made. Because not just a life is hanging in the balance, but a little innocent child's life is hanging in the balance. So to the teams behind me, you work quickly. You work with great urgency. You put it together, the puzzle pieces. You're able to track down the location of Charlotte through technology. But ultimately, it was the two SWAT teams, one federal, one state, that landed in helicopters in Ballston Spa to rescue Charlotte. Still pretty overwhelming because all of us feared the worst. But I promise you, Trish and Dave, they be reunited with little Charlotte once again, and she see her two sisters, one 10, one 4 years old. And obviously it's a traumatic event for the family and certainly Charlotte. And we'll continue to keep this family in our prayers as they heal. But she'll be going home. That's the story. Charlotte will be going home.
Oh.
That's all I have to say on the details. Certainly there'll be many more coming out with respect to the suspect and how that case will proceed. And I want to thank the media for their intense interest and the 400 volunteers who would not give up, for 400 individuals from law enforcement, fire departments, city, county, state, and federal. It was an awesome sight to witness up at the state park yesterday. Everyone doing their job. But also, there are a lot of parents out there among the ranks. And everybody thinks, if it was my child, I would want everybody under the sun looking for them. And that's what this team did. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
He gets the chat.
Charlotte home. Any questions?
What are Schenectady agencies involved in this case?
Charlotte's uncle was a member of the police department in Schenectady. I understand. If that's not correct, someone correct me. Fire department.
Was the suspect known to the family?
It has not been determined that the suspect was known to the family.
News 10.
Was Charlotte randomly targeted, or did he know the family?
That is what will be revealed after more extensive questioning. The vehicle registered to the suspect, the address in the database was 2 miles from Charlotte's home, but it is not known at this time whether he knew her or had her under surveillance for any length of time.
Sean.
Governor, can you say, you said a letter was delivered. Was it delivered by mail carrier? Was it delivered by a third party? Do you have that information at this point?
It appears that it was by the suspect himself, that he literally drove up to the family's mailbox, assuming they were not home, 4:20 in the morning, opens the mailbox and inserts the ransom note, leaving a critical piece of evidence behind, his own fingerprint.
And that was.
I mean, what? You know, God. So obviously he knew the parents weren't at home because the parents were at the campsite. How did he know where they lived? He must have known them. He must have known them, because how would he know where was the house? And if they were watching the house, why did they not arrest him at the time? It's maybe they weren't actually there watching, maybe there were cameras on it, but very strange that he would do that. And how would he even know where that house was?
Assume the car details were also taken into consideration at that point.
There was it happened very quickly. Obviously it's dark, it's 4:20 in the morning, so it's hard to get a description of the vehicle. But there was some sense of the type of vehicle at the time when they left. So as they're piecing together all the evidence, it came together when they did the fingerprint match. It leads you to a name, it can lead you to a vehicle. And that's why we know that he had a home. His mother's home is where he was found. Again, double wide trailer, mother lives there, double wide home. He lives in a camper in the back, or at least he was there. But he also had his name was registered to a vehicle. And the address was a home 2 miles from where Charlotte lived.
And this just came out of nowhere. He just.
Oh, is he showing us here where he lives, this guy? Goodness me.
Showed up at 4:30 in the morning.
Apparently so.
Tessa, anything?
Have you spoken to Charlotte at all, or Charlotte's family, since she's been found?
I've made a number of inquiries to the family. This is a traumatic time for them as they're going through, her health, taking care of her health right now. And I'll be speaking to the parents so soon as I can.
You said there was some resistance with the suspect. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
When we made the dynamic entry into the residence, he did give our SWORT operators, our SWAT people, some resistance in there. He was taken into custody. He did suffer some very minor injuries, but it was relatively minor, nothing big. Shame
it was only minor. No, I shouldn't say that. So he resisted. Did he really think they weren't coming for him? Oh gosh, maybe, how could he think that they wouldn't find him when he's dropped off a ransom note? I mean, it makes you wonder, if he's got some, because I think he's left a fingerprint on the ransom note. Surely he would have worn gloves if he had any awareness of forensics. I mean, that's not even advanced forensics. Even I would know not to leave a fingerprint on something.
In the scuffle.
Great, thanks everybody.
I just want to say there's still a lot of searches underway. The home that he was registered to, a lot of information, and so you want to make sure that he's not connected with any other cases. So that's why it's still an ongoing investigation. But at this time, there's no evidence of that.
Well, at the end of the search, what was the extent of the search in terms of the scope area that investigators, searchers were looking at?
I'll let you answer, Caroline. But
are you asking about at the park?
The scope beyond the park. I've heard reports that it was beyond the park as well.
The original scope of the ground search was within the park. The information we received that took us to Boston Spa was obviously outside the park. We had no ground search operations going on outside the park other than leads we were running down that we were developing throughout the 2 days.
Great, thank you.
What did the ransom letter say?
We're not going to disclose that.
From this massive search? What were some of the biggest takeaways from this search? Now that it's wrapped up.
I would say the biggest thing is you look at all these people behind us. It's cooperation of all the agencies. We don't work in silos. We have to work together to accomplish something like this. And you can never be too careful with your kids. Pay attention to where they're at, what they're doing. Things can happen in an instant. Charlotte was no more than probably 2/10 of a mile from where she was camping in a small area, and she was gone for her to ride her bike around that loop would take her about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So you think.
Gosh, it just shows you, doesn't it? 4 or 5 minutes. Mate, he must have been watching. He must have known something because, well, apart from the fact he knew where to deliver the ransom note. So, gosh, was he planning this? Did he know they were did he know they were going there for the weekend?
They're safe doing that at 9 years old, but you just got to be cognizant and be paying attention to things around you, your surroundings all the time. These things happen in a hurry, and unfortunately today this ended in the right way.
Will there be
Any idea on the motive?
Will there be any security protocols moving forward?
We'll be doing the after-action report to identify any areas where the state parks can make any improvements. But obviously, this is a very random incident, and basically anyone who comes in and out of that park will have come through a certain entryway. Their name is, they purchase a ticket. You have their name in a database, so that is why that's also helpful to identify who's in the park. So that's also in a sense a security measure, because we always know who's in the park.
Did the suspect enter through the main gate?
We don't know how
You mentioned 2 helicopters. Was the arrest affected by the helicopters or was the ground?
The arrest wasn't done by helicopter because of the seriousness of this incident. We brought in SWORD operators from throughout the state, and to expedite this, because obviously it was very time sensitive, we flew about 10 of our SWORD operators from downstate to be here to help with this entry. We normally operate about 6 or 8 people on a team. We had probably 20 SWORD operators make this entry with an FBI regional SWAT team.
Tell them what the SWORD stands for.
What SWORD stands for is our Special Operations Response Team. They are like most agencies have a SWAT team. We do that type of thing with our SWORD operators. They're full-time in that capacity, but they also do other things that normal SWAT teams don't do. We respond to high-angle rescue and different things with that team. They're a highly trained, highly capable unit that we use for just this type of thing. This is what they train for. This is what they live for, is to make entries like this and save someone's life.
I think she's on something.
I have 2 questions. Does this affect how Amber Alerts are sent out? Was there a delay this time? Because a lot of people are asking about that. Is the park back open tomorrow?
We'll have to get back to you on that.
I want to go back to the park. Is it open tomorrow?
We'll figure
Any idea of the motive?
Hey, tickets.
Dates tomorrow that we should be aware of.
When we have more information, we'll have updates on our website.
Any press conferences we should be aware of tomorrow?
With this tonight, probably not, but we'll let you know what we decide.
So he said they probably won't do another press conference tomorrow. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. So she's safe, she's well, but we don't know, we don't know the full details. We're hoping, hopefully, he didn't do anything to her. Gosh, it's a strange one, wasn't it? Anyway, the upshot of it is she's safe and well. And if I have any updates, the guy is in custody. The guy has been named. In fact, I might just have a little look at this. Yeah, he's been named as 47-year-old Craig Nelson Ross Jr. And I think he has got some sort of record of, child loving, as far as I know. But again, we don't know all the details yet. That's what we know so far. But it's enough. It's enough to know, isn't it? It's just enough to know she's safe. She's well. She's at home with her parents. And, gosh. Oh, what a roller coaster they've been on. But just how fantastic that must have been for them to get that news that she was safe. She was taken to the local hospital. But she's now at home with her parents. So as time goes on, I expect, you know, they will talk once they've recovered. Because the parents haven't spoken, of course, you know, to the public. They're probably too traumatized. And the aunt was speaking, wasn't she? She was like the representative. Ooh, you know, it's. I mean, it's fantastic. So it's nice to wake up to some good news, isn't it? It's nice to wake up to some good news rather than some bad news in the morning. And you know, I'm sending a sort of mental hug to, or a virtual hug, I should say, to Charlotte and her parents. I just think, and it is, you know, there's hope, isn't there? That's the hope there. It was starting to look very dark. It was starting to look very dark as every hour that passed. It seemed less likely that little Charlotte would be brought home safely, even though there was always that's what everyone was hoping for. It was, you know, getting less and less likely. This is just, you know, facts. That's just what. When children go missing, once they've been missing over 48 hours, it's rare that they do come back safe and well. So there you go, some good news. If there is any more news, I will come back and let you know about it. I will be doing some videos later on today, either about this or about other things, but it'll be later on today. So thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone who has watched through this, and how lovely to have some good news. Okay, so remember to always live and love wisely, carefully, and until I see you again, may your God go with you. Thank you. Bye.